Hey guys, welcome back to Monicaro Custom Guitars. And in today's episode of Pro Tips from the Amateur, I'm going to talk to you about cavity shielding. So let's roll the intro and we can begin. Now, basically there are two methods of shielding the cavities. One is using copper tape and the other is using conductive paint. Now, both of them has their own pros and cons, and yeah, I started my career using copper tape. In fact, the first couple of guitars I used mostly copper tape when it comes to shielding, until I decided to give this conductive paint a try. Copper tape works fine, does the job correctly, it's cheap to do, but sometimes I discovered that it's quite frustrating to do and even time-consuming, whereas conductive paint is slightly bit expensive than using copper tape, but it's simpler to use and it's much more faster to finish a whole shielding job. So my first tip would be, if you're a copper tape user, consider trying to make the move to a conductive paint job. You'll see a big difference. Now, if you're a guy who builds a guitar every now and then, I would suggest to buy something like this. It's a small bottle, 30 ml of conductive paint, and these are not that much expensive. I don't remember how much this bottle is. I bought this from eBay, and with this I did almost 2.5 guitars using, I'm saying 2.5 because I did 2 full guitars. I did 2 coats, and I did another one, just 1 coat though. That's why 2.5 guitars. So yeah, it's good value for the money. But if you're a guy who builds regularly, I would suggest buying something bigger. For example, StewMac has a good can. StewMac has this can of conductive paint. I don't see the content, how big it is, but this, I remember it's a good value for the money. I don't remember how much it was, but they still sell it. But if you build regularly, I would suggest you use or you buy something like this rather than small bottles. And now I'm going to show you kind of my process of shielding a cavity of a guitar. And there are some tricks about it. So let's change the camera and I'll see you there. Now this is a guitar which I'm doing the shielding on. This is the Odin 7 headless guitar which I'm doing a series, you can see it up here, about building a guitar with a CNC. You can check it out if you want. And at the moment I'm at the shielding stage. Now what I want to share with you, if you're a guy who posts his work on social media, Facebook or Instagram, I would suggest doing the shielding right after your final sanding. Because if you do the shielding before the final sanding, the whole cavity would be filled with dust and the shielding won't be nice, won't look nice at all, especially if you want to take some pictures for your social media. But if you plan to do the shielding after your final sanding, it is very important to protect the edges around the cavity. Because if some of the paint goes on top of the body, it will be very tedious to remove it. And this stuff penetrates in the wood like crazy. It would be very difficult to remove. You need to sand down again. So first of all, what I like to do is to mask around the edges of the cavity, leaving just a bit of tape towards the cavity so I can come and bend that edge towards the inside. And after that, shake my paint and using a small brush, and pay attention not to drip on the body, I apply Now, I make sure I don't leave any white spots or whatsoever. And usually you start heavy with the paint. So what I do, when I give the first brush, I'll stay away from the holes of the pots and switches and the switch. And at the end, I'll do around those area at the end of the stroke. For example, if I dip my brush into the bottle, I will have a lot of paint on my brush. So I will start away from the holes. When I see that I have a small amount of paint of the brush, I'll do near the holes and the slot of the pot and the switch. This is to avoid that the paint will go through the slot and mark the wood on the top of the guitar. And that's it. Now if you're done your masking well, you won't find any bad surprises. And that's it. Now, some manufacturers recommend 24 hours to leave it dry. Some say to put 3 coats. I just find out that with 2 coats, it's good to work with. And when it dried, you can always get a multimeter and a continuity mode and test that there is a closed circuit. Regarding the actual plate, I don't use paint on it, because if I'm using plastic cover, the paint really won't stick. So I use, in that case, I will use a piece of conductive tape. And if the cover is made of wood, of a thin piece of wood, if you use this conductive paint, which is water-based, it will, there's a big chance that the wood, that the cover will warp. So in that case, I still be using a piece of conductive tape. Okay guys, so that's all I got for you today. I hope you liked it, enjoyed it, and there's something from it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I will do my best to answer them in the next episode. If you're new to my channel and you're enjoying what you see, please, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be aware about my future releases. And to the new subscribers and to the old ones, take care and goodbye.